Good morning, Magic players. Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. You brew up those cup of coffees because we're going to have a great conversation today. So if you got questions, you need answers, better believe that we are the show to bring them. And also we do deck list reviews. So if you got a 75 you need some feedback on, and you'd like the community to take a look at your list, you're always like, I need someone to just check this list out. Is it okay? Is there something to be fixed? What do you think about it? Is it a pretty hot list? You bring it here, and you definitely believe that we will take a look at it. So brew up your cup of coffees and let's brew up the conversation. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for February 26, 2021. I'm your host, Nikachu, Merfolk Master. So we're going to say good mornings to some people. Good morning, good morning, IDFK, Mitch, Andreas, Cody, Joseph, Frederick, Chris Menz, 444 Basketball, Mobile, Hawkburn, Dr. Unicorns, Peyton. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Hoax. So wherever you are in this world, I know we're scattered between North America to Europe to Asia, wherever you are. You know, it's always a good time to brew up a cup of coffee and brew up some conversation. Snuffleupafish Fish and Isambo, good morning. All right. But you know what? You see the AirPods in my ears? It's not because I want to listen to music by myself. I got a guest today. You know, Control took a huge beating, a huge hit in this last BNR announcement. They lost. Mystic Sanctuary. They lost. What did they lose? No, I don't even remember. They lost Uro. Of course, they lost. They lost like a huge card with Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. So Control, I mean, they got their legs chopped off, but where are they going to go from now? I would love to welcome back onto the show MTG Control, Terry from MTG Control. Welcome back to Coffee and MTG.
Hello, mate. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
So for those who may not be familiar with you, never heard of you before, why don't you give us a little bit of a background of who you are and what you do in the MTG community?
So basically, I've been playing Control for the last 7 or 8 years now. I've been playing Magic since Tempest, which was 1997. And I just make a lot of content based around Control decks. So yeah.
Anything and everything Control. I mean, between like Dimir and Grixis and Bant. I mean, you got mono black Control. I mean, if there's a Control deck out there, you're gonna play it.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorites is Fairies, but it's fallen off the face of the planet at the moment. But
I know. I honestly can't really defend Bitter Blossom on my show very much. I know it's a huge fan favorite. Is Bitter Blossom good now? I'm like, I just think you kill yourself with this card. It must have been really amazing back in the day.
I played with it recently, and it was all right, but I had Cling to Dust in the main. So, like, I was able to gain life back and not die from Bitter Blossom. So that was one way of
mitigating the
damage.
Where are those low-fi
Dimir Rogues? That was pretty good.
Just to answer this question, I can't have I have like a gimmicky way of getting the music out to all of you while I'm just playing the audio from my desktop, but I can't do that when I have a guest, because then my guest is just going to hear not only the music but also themselves as we talk. That's why we can't have music here, because otherwise it's a really complicated way to get music. Otherwise, I had a really crappy way to do it, but it just doesn't work when I have a guest on. But thanks for asking. Good morning, Iron Warlock. Good morning, IDFK. Morning, Mitch. Yeah, control is fine. So, okay, what did we lose? And how big of an impact is that? I mean, Uro obviously is going to blow open the possibilities for all the non-green control decks.
Yeah, Uro was there. Obviously, last time I was on the channel, I wasn't a huge fan of Uro, if I was honest, because it stopped a lot of the other control decks being viable. And like Temur Control.
Someone who likes to play all control decks, I mean.
Yeah, it really sucked. It made it like Temur Control, 4-color control, 5-color control. And then like you kind of had to play green for Uro, and green's not normally a control color, if I'm honest. It was
they just never made any good cards for in green control. This was the first like legitimately good green control card. Unfortunately, too good. You have to take off maybe one of those Uro abilities, or just, I don't know, add the escape cost by 2 or something like that.
I think if they had taken the life gain off, I think it would have been kind of okay. But it kind of took Boros Burn off the face of the planet. I hardly ever saw Boros Burn until recently. And I've played the last 3 or 4, maybe 5 days. I played at least 30, 40 matches in Modern. And I've played Burn 5 times out of like 40 matches. So seems like Burn's making a bit of a comeback at the moment.
Absolutely. The format has slowed down, and not slowed down in a way where the opponent is gaining a million life off of Uro.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're going to be here for a while. If you're stuck in, you can open up your phone while you're in line, then you'd never miss the show. You never miss the show. Okay, so they lost Uro. They lost Mystic Sanctuary.
That's the one I'm upset about the most, if I'm honest.
Interesting. Okay, tell us about it.
So basically, you could loop it with Cryptic Command. So you'd have to wait a turn unless you've got like Jace the Mind Sculptor in play, where you could draw the card straight away once you put it back on top of your library. That way, it was like the hard lock, really. You really couldn't cast into it because you knew they had the Cryptic Command. They just drawn it off the Jace. And basically, from that point onwards, you were destined to lose the game, basically. Or you could have Deprive, where you counter target spell and you have to return a land. Well, you obviously return the Mystic Sanctuary, replay the Mystic Sanctuary, get the Deprive back. And it was just a good way of Control reusing their graveyard instants and sorceries and like Supreme Verdict and things like that.
Would you say this card like replace Snapcaster Mage?
I played it with Snapcaster Mage in quite a few decks, so it was just an extra Snapcaster Mage on a creature, really. I mean, it was quite nice because then you go like end of their turn, Mystic Sanctuary, put that Supreme Verdict you just used and you put in your graveyard, put it back on top of your library, reuse it again. I mean, it was quite. The way I'm talking about it now, it is quite busted, but I don't know. I just
every fetch land's a mystical tutor, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there was one instance where I only played one Mystic Sanctuary in a deck, and I was like, "Why did I do this? I should play maybe at least 2 or 3." It was pretty brutal.
This is Mystic Sanctuary. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal that card, shuffle your library, then put the card on top of it. This costs 1 mana. This costs no mana. You have to make sure you have 3 other islands in play. That's all. That's the cost to Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, like I said, it's pretty busted. But I do miss that one. But then I can see why they've taken it away. It's made Control decks a little bit less viable. Well, not less viable, but less as not so strong as they once were. But I suppose if they took Uro away, they've got to try and make the Control decks a little bit weaker. I think a lot of Control players are a little bit unhappy about the Field of the Dead as well, because some Control decks were playing Field of the Dead in the main.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially the Uro kinds that can ramp into this thing.
Yeah. Even just like 3 color Control decks. Like if you're playing, like in those 3 color Control decks, you can play sort of 9 different lands. So even just like
basic islands, snow basic islands.
Yeah, like the tri lands, or the like even the dual lands and things like that. It just all adds up to different types of lands, and you're doing your Control thing whilst making 2/2s, which is very, very hard for any sort of player to play against, especially if you're board sweeping and all sorts of other stuff. So.
Carl's like, you know what? Fun fact: Deprive and Sanctuary was legal in Pauper, and I played a Dimir Delver deck that abused it before it got banned. Oh, it got a banning, and I didn't pay attention to the banning. Did Mystic Sanctuary get banned in Pauper? It did. Yeah,
because I actually built a Pauper deck around Ninja of Deep Hours or something it's called. And I literally just bought the cards for the Pauper deck, and I think about a week later they all got banned. I was like, oh, great.
Well, Mono Blue still has to be pretty damn good in Pauper. I mean, it's been a force to be reckoned with for like years.
Yeah, it's still very, very good. And but obviously with Mystic Sanctuary and Deprive being a common, it was very, very good. And then you had Tragic Lesson, which you could draw 2 cards, return target land. So obviously you could just keep returning the Mystic Sanctuary, drawing 2 extra cards, putting another card on top of your library. So that's why I like the deck. I mean, I went 5-0 in the league, and I was like, I like this a lot. So I thought I'll buy the cards, and then all of a sudden, Wizards of the Coast came along and decided to ban everything.
Right. Well, that happens. It's a real thing. Okay, so we saw. I mean, basically, it's crippled all the green control decks. I mean, not that they're all completely gone. I still see some, like, some people are. I can see the 4-color Omnath version is adopting Bring to Light and like a single scape shift.
Yeah, I just made a video on that.
Thing.
I just made a video on that. It's very, very good. But the only thing I will say is that it's very weak to Blood Sun and Blood Moon. Very weak. I played against Jeff Steichen.
As they always have.
Yeah, they were playing Lotus Field and Blood Sun together, obviously trying to cheat it into play. And there were so many fetch lands in my deck. I was having to fetch the fetch as soon as I could. Got caught out by a Tails End. I was like, oh! It was pretty stressful. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was interesting.
Hey, does Terry agree a Mystic deserved a ban? How do you feel about this ban? I mean, you don't like it, but did it deserve the ban? Objectively.
The way I talk about it, and the way and how busted it was, I'm sort of convincing myself now that actually at the time I was really upset about it, but now I look back at it, yeah, most likely did deserve a ban, if I'm honest.
Too little of a cost, too high of an impact. Like, I saw even Aspiring Spike just even put 1 in his deck. He's like, you know what, this card's a bit clunky, but 1 is it's too good to not have at least 1 in your deck, to just randomly put a Lightning Helix back on top at any moment of the game. I mean, the cost of playing this card is almost nothing. I could not play it in my Merfolk deck. I tried. I just don't have enough islands between like Mutavault, Cavern of Souls, and some other utility lands like Horizon lands. But for any other deck,
what is you forced me to play in your Merfolk deck? Was it like Spell Pierce, or do you play Spell Pierce?
Well, we do have things like Force Negation, Deprive, Spell Pierce. We do have those sort of spells.
Yeah, Force Negation is really expensive now, isn't it? Blimey.
It is. I mean, it's one of the best counter spells in it's one of the best counter spells in Modern. Absolutely. Juris, good morning. How do you feel about the Warhammer 40 and Lord of the Rings crossovers? I have no problem with the Lord of the Rings crossover. I don't know anything about Warhammer, though. How do you feel about this, Terry?
If it makes Magic more popular and attracts more people to the game, then I'm all for it. I am more of a traditional player, obviously coming from 1997. So, I can see where it's sort of leading, but at the end of the day, like, I like the traditional, but if it's going to attract more players, then I'm all for that, really.
We got to wait and see how many people from The Walking Dead actually joined Magic. Because, I mean, that's a testing ground, right? Like, they did The Walking Dead Secret Lair. Apparently, it was the hands down most popular Secret Lair ever. Really? And then probably from then, someone asked about the Secret Lair on Mark Rosewater's Tumblr, and he just said it was just outright the most best-selling Secret Lair of all time. So it's a sign of things to come. We're going to be equipping Pokeballs to I don't know, My Little Ponies in the future, and then using it to capture, or I don't know, like almost like Oblivion Ring. I don't know, Gandalf. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's probably not going to affect Modern, Pioneer, Historic, or Standard, because they said there's not going to be Standard legal. Yeah. But as we know, like with The Walking Dead, it's going to be legal in Commander and probably Legacy as well. If they don't.
The formats you just mentioned are the ones I care about, like Historic, Modern, Pioneer. Those are the formats, because for me, like, because I teach, I haven't got a lot of time to keep up with Standard. Standard changes so much.
You sleep on the format for a few months, and now you don't know what's going on anymore, because one set can completely wash away all the old decks. Yeah, exactly. So I like to, like, Legacy, Modern, Historic. I try to play those sort of formats, if I'm honest. Mainly Modern. More stable. I mean, Legacy is so stable. You still got Delver, you still got lands, you still got Death and Taxes, you still got Elves. I mean, it's the same. I look at this format, holy shit, this really hasn't changed in like 9 years. It's unlike.
except from Oko, where it changed it a little bit, but that's just got banned, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, Oko was just slotted into some decks that were already using it. I mean, like there was always a blue-white control deck
Yeah,
and it just adopted green for the Oko.
yeah, yeah.
Chris Menz asked, does the format being turn two, or sorry, does the format going from a turn 2-3 format to turn 4 impact the power of control? How do you feel about that? Because control was doing pretty well in the last format, but maybe because they had all the tools. But in general, do you like a slower format?
I think I do, because it's more like draw go now, whereas like previous control was more sort of proactive, so you were sort of doing stuff on turn 2, 3, like you just said, casting your Uro, getting your maybe Utopia sprawl out on turn 1 so that you can go to Fairy on turn 2 or Uro on turn 2, whatever it may be. So I being a control player, I like the draw go aspect of it. I was watching Harry MTG actually the other day. I don't normally watch other YouTubers, but I was watching Harry MTG and he was playing a blue red blood moon deck, and he was playing what's that card? The multiverse, something of the multiverse, and it was like you can foretell it and then scry 2, draw 2.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's 4 mana though in general.
Yeah, and I actually thought that deck that he built was very, very good. And Blood Moon, blimey, that's catching people off guard, left, right, and center at the moment. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Blood Moon always catches people off guard. Do they have Blood Moon? Let's hope they don't have Blood Moon. Ah, shit, they have Blood Moon.
Yeah, I try to search for as many basics as I can, but sometimes you just can't help it, can you?
Right. There was a question that here, Nightmare Muse that asked, does Magic really need more players? In the grand scheme of things, Magic is a small game. Like it's really small compared to other games. It's tiny, and there's a lot of people who like. When I ever tell a random person like I play Magic, they don't know about it. They've never heard of it, and then I always follow up. Do you know Pokemon cards? Do you know Yu-Gi-Oh? And they're like, yeah, I know those. Well, and I said, this was the first game that made those games. So like Magic actually just doesn't have any presence enough in, doesn't have enough publicity, doesn't have enough presence in the media. It's still a really small game. Like it was, and I don't know if they're overestimating this, but Wizards said that there's a player base of like 20 million. That is still really small for this game. It's really, really small. A lot of other games have way more players.
I don't know what the player base is for Hearthstone, because that was really, really popular at one stage, wasn't it? I don't know if it was more than 20 million, but I think that was what they tailored MTG Arena around, wasn't it? It was kind of very similar in some aspects to Hearthstone before they made MTG Arena, but be interesting to see how many players they have.
Okay. Well, apparently, 2020 they attracted 23.5 million players during that year. Had over 23.5 million players active in 2020, but they're saying active, so that's interesting. They're not accounting the non-active players, so they might have, in theory, 100 million Hearthstone. Because like I don't play Hearthstone. I didn't play Hearthstone in 2020, but I did play it in 2015, like just randomly a little bit just for fun. And I don't know how Wizards is appropriating their 20 million. You know, is it people who are actively playing, or they played once and they don't play anymore, but they're in the database? You know what I mean?
I think players drop in and out all the time, doesn't it? I was playing Arena when I spoke to you last, and when I made Mythic, and then I didn't play it again until January. So that was like 5-month gap in between. So it just shows that not everyone's going to be active all the time.
Okay, this is a question. Here's an interesting one. Ben Golan, if Swords to Plowshares got reprinted in Modern Horizons 2 and GT unbanned, could mono white aggro, not Death and Taxes, be viable in Modern with Stoneforge Mystic? I mean, I would assume so. I mean, especially if you could utilize Lurrus. I think one of the most interesting aspects of GT is it'd be the first equipment that you could play with, well, maybe outside of like Colossus Hammer, that you could like reasonably play with Stoneforge Mystic and still have access to Lurrus. Because if you want to play Batterskull, if you want to play, what's it called, Sword of Fire and Ice, you can't play Lurrus anymore. So, and I think an aggro list wants Lurrus because you're an
Yeah.
aggro list. And well, I mean, I don't know how you're building it. I don't know how high the curve is,
Mm.
but because otherwise, I don't know if GT changes a whole lot. Because personally, for me, I think GT is very close to Sword of Fire and Ice. I almost think that okay, in my opinion, Sword of Fire and Ice is better than GT for the most part because you can deal the damage, which deals 2 damage. GT does the same thing, but you can draw a card. They say white doesn't have access to card draw. Bullshit. They have Sword of Fire and Ice.
And they have the
But
protection as well, which is sometimes relevant, isn't it?
exactly. I think GT is overrated in that sense.
What I will say
White,
is I played against the mono white equipment deck the other day without Death and Taxes. They were playing Colossal Hammer, and actually that deck was very, very good, especially with the enchantment that flashes in equipment in that instance.
Sigarda's Aid.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And I nearly got caught out. I blocked with Snapcaster Mage, ended up getting rid of the equipment and traded with the 1/1, thank God. But if he had another equipment to attach to it, I would have been blown out of the water. So that was a really close game. But yeah, I think the deck's very, very good, and it could be even better if it had Swords to Plowshares.
Oh yeah. If you add Swords to Plowshares to the mix, very, very good. I don't know if they would print. What do you think? How likely do you think they're going to print very iconic legacy cards in Modern? Because I think they're aiming for non-iconic legacy cards. Like they put Lava Dart. Like Lava Dart didn't see play at all in Legacy. Okay, let's give it to Modern. It actually had a huge impact. So
Yeah.
actually, I was flabbergasted. If you showed me this card and said, "Is this going to see Modern play?" I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
But it actually ended up being like a really good card in Modern.
Yeah, sees a lot of playing mono red blitz, doesn't it? That deck just blows you out of the water within one.
And is it blitz?
Yeah, it's
very tough, very mana efficient.
Mm.
What do you think are the odds of like Swords to Plowshares reaching Modern?
Swords to Plowshares was one of the most, well, it's the best, I think, best removal spell of all time. One of the best, anyway, in terms of creature removal. I personally don't think they'll ever put that in Modern. Same as Counterspell. I don't think they'll ever put Counterspell back in Modern.
Oh, you don't think Counterspell never? It might not enter Modern just because it seems like the Counterspells are good enough as it is.
People have been crying out for normal Counterspell in Modern for ages, especially some of my subscribers. But I just can't see it. Like, you know, I think about a year ago,
OP or something. I would think it's just a small upgrade from like Mana Leak.
I think it was what's his name? Space Marine.
Yeah.
I think he writes on your video sometimes. He's quite animated.
Sometimes, like every video, he's in there.
And he's like,
"Oh, they some trouble." You might be watching this. I don't know.
Yeah, he should bring Counterspell back, but I just can't see it. If I want it. I think the best we'll ever have is Deprive, and I think that's it.
It wasn't even that bad when Mystic Sanctuary was around.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a great question for you. Do you guys feel Quandrix command is good enough alongside Ice-Fang Quaddle to start brewing bug and rug control? I'm going to get Quandrix. Have you looked at the commands?
Yeah, I did a video on the commands actually, and Quandrix and the blue-red one, I believe, will see Modern play. I was a little bit disappointed with the red-white one. I thought that was good, but for 5 mana, way too much mana cost. But I do like the abilities on this one.
Okay, so let's go over this. Choose to return target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library. So tell me, as a control player, what modes do you like on this card, and how do you want to interact with the metagame?
I like the first 2 modes, if I'm honest. Return target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand, and then counter target artifact or enchantment spell. We tend to not have that many creatures in control unless it's like Snapcaster Mage. So the 2/1 counters on target creatures, most of the time, not going to be that relevant. And then the target player shuffles up to 3 cards from their graveyard into the library. Could be useful if you've got 3 of your win conditions in the graveyard. They've managed to get them into your graveyard. You want them back in your library.
Okay,
that could be useful, but for the most part, I think the first 2 modes are going to be the best. And for 3 mana, instant speed, I think it's very good.
Occasionally, you can even return your Snapcaster Mage back to your hand, I guess.
Yeah, for value, definitely.
What was the Is It one that you said that was good? Does anyone know what the Is It one is? Help me, people.
It was
we got the hive mind here. Someone in chat will let me know. What's the Is It one?
I know the modes, but I don't know the name.
I know the modes. but not the names for cards that have existed for 10 years.
Normally, I get help from my friends. They're like, "Oh yeah, that card." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what it's called."
Prince Mary command.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
There we go. All right. So instant, blue, red, and a generic. Deals 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2 cards and then discards 2 cards. And target player creates a treasure token and destroy target artifact. Tell us about it.
So there's a lot of people are saying this is just a weaker Colligan's command.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're playing like some sort of blue-red combo deck or like blue-red through the breach or something like that, where you're trying to search for like certain combo pieces, I like the draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards because you're able to find those combo pieces that you can find. Like for me, for like, through the breach, turn 3 or 4, whatever it may be. And then
through the breach card, you get the treasure token, so you can like loot and ramp.
Exactly. And then obviously, artifacts are so prevalent in modern at the moment. I actually think this is a good card. 2 damage kills quite a lot in the format. Dark Confidant, starting to see a bit more play again. Maybe some little dorky creatures, or you can aim it at a planeswalker or their face. I mean, could be. I think it's a good card.
Mm-hmm. And do you think ban control is still possible now? Maybe ban Snow with Ice Fang and Stoneforge, but that's more like a Stoneblade deck, and that is still seeing play.
Yeah, I put a tweet out yesterday, and out of 10 matches, I played 7 Stoneforge Mystic decks. Out of 10 matches in a row, I was like, Jesus Christ, they're everywhere. It was like Mardu Stoneforge, it was Blue White Stoneforge, it was Death and Taxes Stoneforge. I'm like, it's just literally everywhere.
Well, okay, there was like almost no Stoneblade before the bannings. Like, what part did Control? What is your take on it? Like, I don't really have a good take why there is no Stoneblade, except maybe they couldn't overpower a Control deck. Like, did Control have like an outright amazing matchup against Stoneblade? I don't know what the factors were back then, except maybe it was just too slow compared to what was going on in the format.
Yeah, maybe we were ramping out pretty quickly, with the land situation, and I suppose they were getting Uro out on turn 2, whereas when you're casting Stoneforge on turn 2, I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit slow. I mean, Batterskull on turn 3 for me has always been very good, but
not in that metagame. Not when Uro's gaining 3 life back every 4 damage you're throwing at them.
I suppose, like in some instances, people were getting like on turn 3, they were like having like 5 access to 5 mana, and when you're only doing Stoneforge Batterskull on turn 3 compared to having 5 access to 5 mana, maybe it's not quite as good, I guess. So maybe that's the reason.
Frederick says, I think due to Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon are more popular, MTG should make a TV series. I mean, they tried to do something like that. Maybe they still will. They were going to do like a Netflix adaptation, but it sounds like the idea has been shelved at the moment.
I think about a year ago, they were all about making a film or something, weren't they?
Yeah, they're going to make like a Netflix movie show.
Yeah. I remember. I think we spoke about it, didn't we? Or maybe I spoke about it with someone else, but I'm pretty sure that, I heard that. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Get more players.
If crossovers are going to be a regular thing in MTG, is there any specific crossover you guys would like to see? Not particularly.
No.
Oh, we got Mitch with the super chat. Thank you very much for the $5. It was because Uro Control was dominating everything. All right, so Mitch had the answer. Just dominating everything. If the slow deck to beat was Uro, and if you couldn't beat Uro, then screw it. You can't beat anything.
Yeah.
Hey, Terry, what is your favorite spell to hold up in a draw go turn?
Cryptic Command.
Boom. The best. I mean, you like that value. Spell, draw a card.
Yeah. Especially if I see them struggling with lands, I'll start bouncing their lands back to their hand.
There you go. Yeah, I've done that versus Tron. Yeah, it's very pleasant. They missed their 3rd Tron land. Okay, bounce this one of power. Now you're 2 lands away from getting.
And then you slag your Teferi, then keep up Cryptic Command or whatever, or counter spell, and
exactly. If you look, the Time Spiral Remastered package that you can be a Tarmogoyf, yes, we can. Tarmogoyf is very likely. Tarmosaurus Rex is showing up again. More dinosaur Tarmogoyf arts. It
I
looks
like
like a new version of the dinosaur art. Why are they all moving to the dinosaur art? They're not going back to the old art. I guess it's just not popular enough. I'm part of a niche crowd here. My local game store has a 1 hour time limit per round. Being a control player, did ever receive a draw in a round because of time limits? Opponent not conceding even when he is fully controlled for whatever?
Yes, I did
Your take on
actually.
this?
I did. This happened to me. It wasn't at my local game store. It was at Grand Prix. We was on final turns, and I think I was on turn 4. Just made 7/4/4 angels with entreat the angels, and he went to his turn, and then I ended up drawing the match because of it. So if I had one more turn, I would have actually. It was a trio GP, so trio GP modern, and I had to win that game for us to win overall, and we ended up drawing. So yeah, it was brutal.
I think this happens to all control players. That's why if you are a control player yourself, I find this with all. This is this is a quality I see all good control players have. They play fast, like they draw a card, they play land, pass, they snap pass. They're actually quite quick because you need to, because your opponent is not going to play as quick. Like, even if they play at a reasonable pace that is legal, they can still play too slow for you to complete the match. So control players have to give up edges on their main phase or on their turn and take most of the time thinking on their opponent's turn. You got to play
playing against Tron. And I was at the time I was getting more and more frustrated because I was thinking, like, it doesn't take you this long to make a decision. All you're doing is slamming planeswalkers, and so. And then the other day I was making a video yesterday actually, and out of 5 games, 2 of the matches went to time. They lost and I had 11 minutes left in one match and 12 minutes left in the other match, and they lost because they're basically timed out. So, one of those things.
Unbelievable. MTG Ectoplasm, thank you very much for the super chat. All right, what's a worse matchup for control decks, Azoreous or Bant Spirits, and why? Which one do you hate to face off, Azoreous or Bant?
Well, as a control player, you hate to play against decks that do stuff at instant speed, especially when they've got Ether Vol in play and you can't really interact with it. I played against Band Spirits the other day, and I got a little bit lucky against them, if I'm honest. But out of the 2, I would hate to play against Band Spirits.
I was also going to say, okay, so give your reason why you don't want to play against Band Spirits, and then I'll give a reason why I prefer playing Band Spirits versus Control.
So they obviously play the Noble Hierarch in turn 1. So they're already, if they're on the play as well, they're already a little bit further ahead. Or they play Ether Vol. So then you're sort of, you play your land, you pass the turn back. Then you've got to be a little bit wary of Spell Queller because they normally have 4 Spell Queller in the main. So then you don't want to be blown out by casting your Supreme Verdict, then they Spell Queller your Supreme Verdict. So you kind of want to do your Path to Exile, but then you don't want to give them a land at the same time, especially if you're playing blue-white control, because they tend to use their mana quite effectively in the early stages of the match.
Yeah.
If you get into turn 5 or 6, that's when you're sort of turning the corner. But for me, they play a couple of Drogsko Captains and Rattle Chains or something, which could blow you out if you can't path something. They play Rattle Chains, and you're like, it's just you kind of have to do stuff on when they're tapped out on your turn. You don't really, as a control player, you don't want to do that. You want to be doing stuff on their turn. So,
exactly.
Rattle Chains is a big card for them, really. I think that's, and even the Drogsko Captain, even volleying that in, because all the other spirits get hexproof. So
yes, and they get beefed up.
You just kind of have to think worst case scenario. What have they got in their hand? So. Yeah,
the reason I like playing Bant just specifically is because of Collected Company. It's like an instant speed card that after a board wipe, even if the board wipe matters, like they have Selfless Spirit. Sounds like Spirits. Like, how do you feel about your matchup against Spirits in general? Spirits seems to have a lot of game. Very similar to Merfolk in that they play Ether Vol, play at flash speed, got counter spells of their own. But in addition to that, in addition, like all those tribal anti-counter Cavernous Soul stuff. They got Selfless Spirits to protect their creatures. They got Rattle Chains against path to exile.
I would say that if it's blue-white control against ban, I would say 50-50. But I actually prefer to play Esper control against ban because of Thoughtseize, Inquisition, and Fatal Push. Because you can start targeting their hand whilst also killing their creatures on the battlefield, and then it gets to the point where they're top decking, and then obviously you're in a great position for that point.
Classic Thoughtseize. Take the good cards out of their hand.
Yeah.
Please stop talking over each other. Sorry about that. Okay, Cody says, any thoughts on hand lock control? I don't actually know what this means, so I hope you know what this means.
Yeah, what do they hand lock control?
This like Lantern?
Yeah, they might be talking about Lantern actually. I haven't really seen a lot of Lantern over the last.
Peyton immediately says, "What is hand lock control?"
Yeah, if it is Lantern control, I haven't seen that for the last 6 months or so. So maybe it will make a comeback. I don't know, but I haven't really seen it.
Let's see where we're going with the questions here. Here we go. What is your opinion on Jeskai Tempo / Blue Eye Tempo in comparison to the Jeskai Control / Blue Eye Control?
So, I presume what they mean by Jeskai Tempo is like Jeskai Stoneforge or Jeskai.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe it has what's it called? Whatever. It's trying to win with some creatures.
Yeah. So like, I used to play a lot of Jeskai Tempo with like Ghost of Saint Draft,
Stoneforge, exactly.
Snapcaster Mage, and then a load of Burning Bolt and Lightning Helix. I actually did pretty well with that. I actually won a Magic Card Market tournament with Jeskai Tempo. I actually like the proactive game plan of that. Because you play your creatures and then you just keep up Cryptic Command or a few counter spells and then just keep bashing. Whereas with the Jeskai Control and Blue White Control tends to like to win with like Planeswalkers, like Chase the Mind Sculptor, Teferi Hero of Dominaria, etc. I think the. So what is your opinion on the comparison? Well, I just think like. I don't know. I like the tempo matches are. You're very rarely going to time with tempo, whereas like with the control decks, you can go to time quite a lot. And if you're in a tournament, like a long tournament, if it's like a full day tournament, I like to play Jeskai Tempo because in between matches you like to have a little bit of a breather, and if you're nearly going to time when you're playing control, it can actually make you have a few little mistakes in your other matches. So if I was to choose one, I would more than likely, if I was to go to the tournament, I would play Tempo.
That's a really good point that you bring up. And it's like a practical point that a lot of people don't understand or maybe underestimate when they play in, say, a Grand Prix. It is a marathon. These rounds are long and you can get exhausted very easily. And the people who are playing like a little bit more of an aggressive deck that has less decision making, even though the decision making is important, you're not. If you can play 30-minute rounds versus 50-minute rounds on average, you're going to have way more time to take a rest, take a break, refresh yourself for the next round. I've definitely had tons of GPs where I'm just going, it feels like I'm just going back to back to back rounds because all my rounds went to time, and you get tired really fast. And then you, like you said, it's going to add up in future matches. You're going to start making mistakes in round 8 when you're getting close to making day 2 of that GP. So you do have to consider that. So, I mean, again, like I said, that's why the control players, they're fast. They already know what they're going to do even before they draw that land off the top of their deck. You got to play quickly. If you're not if you're not that type of person, then, you can play control. You can love control, but maybe in the big tournament, you got to play a more aggressive, assertive version, of these types of decks. Got to take the tempo route.
It's really important to keep yourself hydrated in tournaments as well. So if you haven't got much time in between matches, like you're not drinking water, you're not having snacks, which then causes you to make more mistakes as you're hungry or you're thirsty or whatever. Yeah, I in tournaments I prefer tempo, so I would choose Jeskai Tempo if I'm honest, out of all of them for a big tournament.
Do you have any suggestions on how to keep your composure in a big tournament? Because how to keep yourself refreshed. I don't know if
keep yourself hydrated with water, because one of the main things that Travis Wu used to talk about all the time when I used to watch him and his videos is keep yourself hydrated and have little snacks in between, like have a little chewy bars or whatever, just to keep yourself going really and keep your brain functioning the way it should be functioning. Because when you even when I look back at my videos, I think, why the hell did I do that? And it was because I was tired, like the previous night before or whenever I didn't get enough sleep. And I think I wouldn't have made that decision again. It's just, keeping yourself. It's the physical as well as the mental. You got to keep yourself physically hydrated, physically, taking in enough carbs, etc. To keep yourself going, really.
Absolutely. I mean, even myself, I am now making my streams really short. When I stream online, I just stream for like 2.5, 3 hours. That's it. I don't want to schedule any longer streams. I can burn really bright for 3 hours, and then after that, the second league, not so good, not as good as the first league. So, and I know how it is. You got to energy management, super important. I'm a huge proponent of sleep, and if you're a control player, you really need it because your games are going to go long on average.
Yeah,
super important for big.
Sometimes if I do a league online, by the way, I might just play 3 matches or 2 matches if I'm playing control, and then come back to the league later on. I may not even do all 5 in a row, because if they've gone to time, like say 2 matches have gone to time, that's like nearly 50 minutes. That an hour, nearly 2 hours done. Sometimes you need a bit of a break in between, so that's what I do when it comes to leagues and things like that.
Right. D Canadian Bacon with the super chat. Thank you so much. Just want to say you two on stream together might be my favorite combo I've seen on the channel. A great stream so far. Thank you very much, D Canadian Bacon. You're familiar with this, with D Canadian Bacon?
No, I'm not actually.
Comments on my channel all the time. You got to comment on MTG Control's channel like a little bit. You got to spread the love. Favorite combo. Oh, apparently Master of the Pearl Triton's getting the old border. Can I find that quickly? Or hold on. I hope.
I'm a fan of Merfolk Nikachu. It's one of my favorite modern decks before Control.
Really? It's not updated on Scryfall. Maybe I can find it on Mythic Spoiler. It's gonna get. It's definitely going to. Oh, we got yes. Whoops. Clicked an ad. So we do have. I am absolutely going to get this card, 100%.
Nice.
I'm going to get this card 100%, and I'll get it in foil. I'll get it in foil Japanese if I can. I got to match my foil Japanese Lord of Atlantis's. I don't even get foil cards anymore, but I'm going to get the foil Japanese of this. Because the old border in foil looks so good. It is so good. What the hell is this? When Riptide Pilfer deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. So what are they doing? They're just dumping all the like yesterday was like white cards day. Today is blue cards day.
Yeah.
Pongification. Oh no, Pongify. So we're getting Pongify. What cards are coming in old border? Trinket Mage. Baral's coming in old border. Mystic Confluence, being Delay, Logic Knot. What else do we see here?
Teferi.
Yeah, we see Teferi. Although, I guess we see Teferi in new border.
Yeah.
Teferi in new border. Ponder in old border. That's going to be sick for the legacy players. They're going to love that. Interesting.
Did they see this is the modern set, or was it just everything? Eternal.
This is just Time Spiral Remasters. I guess it's like, I guess it's just like a master set, basically.
Oh, right. Because if it was modern, I'd be very interested to see why Ponder was there. But obviously, if it's for every format, then.
Well, maybe it's modern, but it's still banned. It's modern. Whatever. It was printed a modern legal set, but it's a banned card anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say I nearly got excited. I thought modern Ponder was nearly legal then.
Maybe they'll make an announcement. Who knows? Is Teferi Time Raveler likely going to eat a ban soon? I was thinking of buying it on Magic the Gathering Online. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy that they didn't ban this card. Out of all the cards that recently got banned, like the Field of the Dead, Ural, Mystic Sanctuary. For me, with Force of Negation in the format, and the Mystical Dispute, etc., I don't think they should ban Teferi Time Raveler. I don't think it's worth a ban, if I'm honest. It isn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't worth a ban in Pioneer, and it wasn't worth a ban in Historic either, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is the first example of Wizards banning cards because the community just hates the damn thing.
Yeah, I don't think it. I don't think it will get a ban, but I'm hopeful it won't get a ban. But Wizards of the Coast does like to pull the trigger sometimes, so just be very careful, Calvin. If you're going to buy them, try and buy them when they're at the cheapest, so you don't lose too much money if that's what you want to do.
I think it's safe to say there probably won't be a ban for Teferi until the format gets shaken up big time again, and that might take, I don't know, at least 3 months for the next set to come out, because right now the format's pretty healthy. Because
Yeah.
it seems like they only made a big banning when it was like the format really went to dog shit.
Yeah. I think it's quite diverse at the moment.
Thanks for asking, Calvin. Peyton, yes, I will pick up the old border for sure. 1 million billion %. Where's some old comments here? How does red beat blue-white control? So what advice can you give to the red mage here?
I was playing against Boros Burn just a minute ago, actually, before I came on here. That's why I was a little bit late. Yeah, so basically hold up your cards, because if they got your opponent down to, say, 5 life, which just happened just a minute ago, rather than trying to cast your spells one by one when you're drawing them, try and have them like 3 or 4 cards in your hand at one time, because a control player will have maybe 1 or 2 counter spells. But if you've got 3 or 4 and you've got the mana to cast all of them at the same time, they can only counter, the first 2. So, if you've got, like, say, 4 bolts, rather than cast them one by one so they can counter them, just keep them in your hand and then just go bolt, 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 bolt in one turn. That would normally finish your control player off.
Not only that, I've never strictly played control, but when I watch control players, sometimes when they have 4 mana up, they don't even have 2 counter spells up, because they'll have like a mana leak, but then the other 2 counters are like 2 cryptic commands, and they really only can play 1 counter spell at one time. So you'd be surprised how effective, throwing a million counter spells at instant speed at end of turn and then unloading the rest of your hand on your own turn is going to work.
Yeah.
But really good advice. Yeah, save them up. Don't just... Because I've definitely heard, I definitely understand the appeal of, okay, we got to exhaust the counter spells, but overloading the counter spells is an even better strategy. Mitch J with the super chat again. Thank you very much. Nick and Terry, when you're playing control and your opponent knows they've lost and sandbags their turns gunning for a draw, how do you handle that?
Well, MTGO is quite good, because I normally just press 2 straight away and it skips my entire turn. So if thing is, you can't really get a draw on MTGO, because if you're just as quick as you can in your turn, it passes straight back to them anyway. So the likelihood of you actually getting a draw on MTGO is very unlikely. I don't even think you can get a draw, can you? Nikachu,
you can. I've gotten it like once or twice. It's not through time though. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. I had lethal once and I ran out of time at the exact same time as killing my opponent, and they considered it a draw.
Oh, okay.
It was a really weird scenario. And I've heard some other people get draws out of some other bizarre scenarios. I don't know what triggered the draw, but I know I ran out of time when my opponent was dead. And then somehow simultaneously, I guess the program didn't know how to consider that a victory or a loss. So they said, okay, it's a draw. You won and you lost at the same time.
I presume that Mitch is he's talking about in real life.
Yes.
Yeah. So in real life, I've had it at tournaments where they're taking 3 or 4 minutes to make a decision. They've got 1 card in hand. I don't really like calling judge, if I'm honest with you, but if they've got 1 card in hand, they've got 7 mana open, and they're taking 3 minutes to make a decision, in the interest of your own, trying to progress onto day 2 or whatever, I don't like it, but I would call the judge, because at the end of the day, it's your result. If that draw could be the difference between you making day 2 or even progressing to the top 8. So I would call judge if they're sandbagging and looking for a draw, if I'm honest.
So first, it's very important to know that what your opponent is doing is cheating. It's called stalling. Stalling in order to get a draw. It's cheating. It's clear.
Yeah.
That's just very important to know. They're not allowed to do that. They're not trying to game the system. They are just cheating. So if my opponent is taking a lot of time to make a decision, I'll usually start off by saying, I usually like to quote Hearthstone. I can't remember what I say. It's like, decisions. And then sometimes I will wake my opponent up if maybe they think that they're in a lot of trouble. But if they are clearly taking too much time, I will wake them up. Like, I'm like, hey, you got to make a decision here. Hey, because if you're spending more than a minute just to even do anything, like I won't let it get to 3 minutes. Like you got to get it going. And if they're not responding very well to this, then I will call the judge if I have to. The crappy thing is that at a GP level, the judges are so overwhelmed with things to do that they're not very good at monitoring slow play. They just don't have the time to just watch your match for slow play, and they don't enforce it very well right now. So unless you are like playing for top 8, then they might get some dedicated judges. But if you're still in the Swiss rounds, that it is a bit of a problem. And the best you can do is you have to monitor your opponent. Hey, you got to make a move. Come on, let's go. The round timer's ticking. I might even remind them stalling is cheating. So you don't stall here. If you're lost, you're lost. Let's go. So, but you do have there is a bit of an onus on you. If your opponent is trying to game the system, you got to remind them, hey, that's not how the system works. Let's go. Let's do this.
You have a good point there, Nikachu, because I was maybe a little bit too polite in the beginning. But like when I first came back to Magic, I started playing Control. I was always a bit like, I didn't really want to call the judge because I didn't want to cause a scene. But as I become more competitive, going to tournaments, local tournaments, etc., I am willing to call the judge more if time's passing by and there's a crucial win or decision that needs to be made. So.
MTG Chapter says it's not cheating if they maintain the same speed throughout the whole match. Turn 1, game 1 is the same speed as turn 20, game 3. That's fine, but not if they have like nothing on board. Like the board, like here's a thing a judge will do to the player to claim that they're slow play or they're stalling. If they let's say they have 2 creatures on the board, and I have 4 creatures, and they spend a minute thinking about it, or let's say 2 minutes, and then they decide they don't attack. Next turn they draw a land. They should then continue to pass. And then let's say now I have 5 creatures instead of 4 creatures. Then the logical decision is they should keep passing the turn, no attacking, because, well, the attack wasn't good last turn. So what does my board getting better have to do with you spending more time thinking about your attack? So like judges will think about this. You can spend a lot of time on one turn, potentially, but there are some board states where, nothing's changed. You got to like keep going, or you spend a lot of time thinking about an attack. Let's even clear is you spend a lot of time thinking about an attack. You decide not to attack. I draw a card. I do nothing. Pass the turn. You draw a land. You got to just pass the turn back because you weren't willing to attack last turn. Why would drawing a land change anything? So I mean, judges will take some of this into consideration. It is true that so long as you're playing at a reasonable pace, like 20 seconds a turn, that's fine, and maybe they'll get away with it. They do get away with it a lot, but if you're like soaking up a minute, 2 minutes to do this, and it's very irrelevant looking board state, it will come down to a judge. It might come down to a judge's decision. It might come down to one of the judge's decisions.
I think you're spot on there, actually, Nikachu.
I have a lot of tournament experience. A lot of experience getting cheated. I don't know every time I'm getting cheated. I do get into long games with merfolk though. So I mean, I do have experience getting down to the wire.
Yeah.
Usually it's not too big of a problem. And by the way, people ask me to speed up, and I'm like, I know I'm a pretty slow player myself. When I go into the tank, I just completely lose track of time. I completely appreciate my opponents waking me up, because that's another thing. Sometimes you just need to wake the player up. That's all, and that's all they need. And they realize, oh yeah, I've been spending too much time. Okay, I gotta do something. Let's move it on. Let's move on. I think it's actually time for deck list review. Oh no, wait a minute. Did we? Yes. All right. Let's do deck list review. Maybe we'll even get some control decks.
Nice.
So, if you're new to the channel, oh no, hold on, before we get into deck list review, not everyone's here for deck list review. For anyone that wants to follow you, Terry, where can they find you?
They can find me on YouTube under MTG Control.
You got it. Wow, no one took MTG Control. How long you've been on YouTube for? It's like a type of. Oh, you've been around for a while. You were one of the first people.
I actually haven't been making content since 2011, but I have my account since 2011. Been making content for about a year and a half now.
Okay, so you had the account for a while, but you scooped up MTG Control as a name just recently.
Yeah, I've got Twitch as well, and I've got like MTG Control with 2 L's. I don't know why, but someone took my name for MTG Control on Twitch.
Well, that's why I'm so surprised you were able to get it on YouTube. Period.
Yeah.
But you can find all links to find Terry in the description below. If you want to follow him on social media and follow MTG Control, give him a sub. If you like Control, he plays all variations from like from Jeskai, blue white to like fairies and rack, right?
Yeah, the rack. Yeah, I play everything Control related. I play, so I just love Control as an archetype.
All right, let's do deck list review. So if you're new to the channel, you want your deck list reviewed. All right, I have a link in my Discord. That link will take you, in the description. In the description, there is a link to my Discord. And in my Discord, go find the channel deck list review. And then in that channel, use the command !review deck, space, give the URL to your deck, and you will be eligible at random to get your deck list reviewed on the channel. So, and while we wait for people to submit their deck list, I'm going to thank my sponsors, starting with FusionGamingOnline.com, my favorite local game store. Also a Canadian local game store, so it's all in Canadian prices. The deal of the week this week, save 15% off all Throne of Eldraine singles and sealed product. So if you're interested in some of those Brawl decks, or you want to pick up an Oko Thief of Crowns for your Commander deck, also they have modern staples like Brazen Borrower. Go check them out at FusionGamingOnline.com. And you can save 5% extra off all your orders if you use coupon code Nikachu at checkout. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online, and definitely the best way to play all variations of Control to find out exactly which one is the right one for you. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 15% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu.
Nice.
Oh, let's see what we got here. Wow. New Master of the Pearl Trident. Can't wait. Ron Locke, congratulations. You are the next contestant on deck list review. We've got a zombies list. It's been a while since I've seen a zombies list. Used to got a lot of zombie lists.
Nice.
All right. You know much about zombies?
I played against zombie deck quite a few times actually online, so
there we go. So maybe you can find out what's good about zombies and throw it in here. So we got four Carrion Feeder, 2 Crypt Breaker, 3 Diregraph Colossus. It's Golgari zombies, 4 Gravecrawler, 2 Lotlith Troll. Oh yeah, this is a zombie, isn't it?
yeah,
Rotting Regisaur.
Oh my god.
Shit, I forgot about this. I forgot that this is a zombie. Why am I not playing with this card? I guess it's because it's 3 mana. It's taking out like the zombies. Like
he's a lot playing historic, Nikachu. That rotting.
I gotta try this in modern. I mean, yeah, it dies to fatal push, but fuck it, it's a 7/6 creature. That's not bad. You discard cards. I think this card's underrated. I mean, 3 mana for a 7/6 creature. How does this not see modern play? How do you feel about seeing this card if you're empty-handed?
If I'm empty-handed, this is on the board, I'm feeling very sad.
Exactly. It's a gigantic threat by itself. Stitcher Supplier. Enter the battlefield. Yeah, put top 3 cards. Vengevine. Not a zombie, but very good graveyard synergy. Blooming Marsh, Overgrown Tomb, Swamp, Verdant Catacombs, Woodland Cemetery. Are these the best? Because Woodland Cemetery is... I guess it's fine. Yeah, it's good. Whatever. Yeah. Hold on, but this is... No, hold on. What is... Oh, I was thinking, yeah, what is the Blooming Marsh? This is the Blooming Marsh. This is Woodland Cemetery. I'm just wondering if this is ever going to come into play tapped. Verdant Catacombs. This
I suppose you've got
is
enough swamps and
12.
forests, maybe.
I think you need about 14. So I might shave 2 of these because we
Hmm.
only have 12 swamps and forests. So this is actually going to come into play tapped like some percentage of the time.
Yeah.
2 Assassin's Trophy, 4 Fatal Push, 4 Unearth. Get that Rotting Regisaur back.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 Shriekhorn. And then there's some. We don't have a sideboard. That's fine. I don't know if I'm a fan of Shriekhorn. I don't know how other people feel about it.
Hmm.
Hey Matthew. Why pay 3 mana for a 7/6 Rotting Regisaur when you have Death Shadow or Tarmogoyf for less mana? Because this is a zombie deck. Zombie synergy. That's why.
Zombie tribal.
Yeah, zombie. Yeah. Rotting Regisaur, living and playable. There you go. Exactly. The deck. Maybe we should have some living end in here. I mean, okay, Shriekhorn. I don't know if I'm a fan of this card. I think you should just have
I
another
don't.
zombie.
I
Or
don't think it
something.
should be in that deck. Shriekhorn's more for like dredge and things like that. I'm not really.
Like this deck uses the graveyard a little bit, but not that much. We got Gravecrawler, like a little bit of Lotless Troll, and Vengevine. That's it. It's just not strong enough. The deck overall looks pretty sound. I might have 1 less Unearth. I hate flooding out on this card because if you have no creature in your graveyard, it's pretty useless. I might look at a card that's pretty popular and will have synergy, I think, with your deck.
I like the Carry-On Feeder Gravecrawler combo. I like the Carry-On Feeder. Sorry, the Gravecrawler Rotting Regisaur combo. So you're discarding that and then replaying it. So I like the synergies there. I think it's quite a good deck. All those things.
But what to replace Shriekhorn with?
What
does everyone think in chat?
Is there a zombie lord? There is, isn't there? A Lord of the Accursed or something? Or like it gives all zombies +1/+1 and you can tap it and it gives all zombies menace. Like maybe that. I don't know.
Yep. That's a possibility. Oh, why no Dread Wanderers? That could be a possibility.
Oh yeah.
The 1-drop slot.
Yeah.
Oops. I think it's just Dread Wanderer.
Yeah, I like that card a lot.
So we got a 1 mana 2/1 ETB tapped. Can come back from your graveyard.
Yeah.
So
synergizes well with Rotting Regisaur.
Maybe Death Baron. Just something. I mean, this is clearly like, if in my mind, this is just clearly like the weak point in the deck. And then I might replace maybe 1 or 2 Unearths for something else. I mean, I don't mind Unearth. Frankly, I think I prefer, what's it called? What is the black spell? 1 black, sack a creature, draw 2 cards.
Village Rites.
Village Rites.
Yeah, very good card that is.
I think Village Rites. I'm not the hugest fan of Village Rites, but I think Village Rites is actually just way more playable and has way more value than, say, Unearth. Unearth just literally gets 1 creature back, 1 for 1. Sort of situational because you need something in the graveyard. This, I guess, is a bit of a tempo loss, but is much more value when it goes off. So maybe 2 of these instead of 2 Unearths, and then replace Shriekhorn with just any creature. If we need more 1-drops, we might not need more 1-drops. Or maybe we do. Maybe we need more 1-drops. No, we have Gravecrawler. So maybe we could have a top end Lord in the mix. And you've got green mana, so you might need some mana sources because we don't have any. We just have straight up 20 lands.
Yeah.
We might want 1 more land just so that we can cast Rotting Regisaur on curve. In even your Diregraph Colossus, because you need 21 lands to get your 3rd land drop in play by turn 3.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually.
You know what? I'm not a fan of Relentless Dead because it needs so much mana to work.
It's quite slow, isn't it, Relentless Dead?
It's pretty slow, and like all the abilities require mana, and honestly, usually you're just always tapped out. You're just tapped out, tapped out, tapped out. It looks good, but then when you play it, you realize I don't have the mana to like use this card, or not very well. I think the best ability is just when it dies, you can pay a black and return to your hand. Can't this run Pyre of Heroes? Maybe.
I've seen quite a bit of play now, actually. Pyre of Heroes.
Yeah, it's a very exciting card for the tribal decks.
It's a new basketball, apparently, isn't it?
Yeah. Shambling Shell. I don't know what this one is. Grolf's Mess. Ooh, Plant Zombie. Sacrifice Shambling Shell. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And it has Dredge. Interesting. Also can help fuel. I mean, it's not a bad Dredge card to put in your hand, even if you Dredge. Actually, it's not too bad. I never heard of this card because no one's ever tried to play Golgari zombies. Which, why not? Like, everyone's trying to go mono black zombies.
Yeah.
There's no mono blue spirits, mono white spirits. Maybe there is some legitimate splashes for zombies.
The removal is pretty solid. You got Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy as well. Which...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that's some good ideas that you can simmer on. Thanks for submitting the deck list. Let's do another. We got Frank the Tank. Congratulations, you're the next contestant on deck list review. We have it's Eldrazi with Gigantha. So we have Gigantha, Bearer of Silence. When you cast Bearer of Silence, you can pay a generic and a colorless. If you do, target opponent sacrifices a creature, and as flying, Bearer of Silence can't block. Actually, that's not a bad card. I've never heard of this card. The only problem is that it's 1 toughness, and it dies to a lot of things in the format. But aside from that, it's a 2/1 with the potential to edict someone when you have 4 mana up. Dream Devourer. Each non-land card in your hand without Foretell has Foretell. Its Foretell cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 2. Whenever you foretell a card, Dream Devourer gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I find that these are like really situational cards. I mean, you need like a million foretell cards in your deck to really make this card work. Like, do we even have that in this deck?
Not really, no.
Maybe this was supposed to be something else, and it just showed up as the wrong card. Because it seems like really out of place in this deck. Matter Reshaper, Thought Knot Seer, Reality Smasher, Endbringer, Ugin, Spatial Contortion, Plaka, Predation. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a card from it with converted mana cost 3 or greater. That player discards a card. Is that better? Oh, hold on. So what's the other side here? Oh, it's just a black source. Okay, it's a land.
Yeah,
so you have a bit of some freedom here.
I like that. I like the Ugin actually, making everything cheaper. The Ineffable.
Oh, sorry, hold on. I didn't read this card properly. Each non-land card in your hand without Foretell has Foretell. So it's turning everything into a Foretell card. And whenever you foretell a card, Dream Devourer gets +2/+0. It gives Foretell to the cards in your hand. That's right.
Well, that's actually pretty good in that deck, actually.
Okay, so... but does it make your Eldrazi easier to cast?
Each non-land card you have without Foretell has Foretell. It's Foretell cost.
Because you play this... I guess you can play 2 Thought Knot Seers by turn 4. No, you can't. Because you need to foretell it first. I don't think it's making anything cheaper. Oh my god, this is breaking news. True Name Nemesis is also coming in the old border.
Oh, nice.
Take a look at that before the show ends. I don't know how to evaluate this card, so I don't know if this is good or not.
Yeah, without actually playing the deck, it's hard to evaluate, isn't it?
Oh, combining it with Ugin and Thought Knot Seer, suddenly cards are free. Because colorless spells cost 2 less to cast.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you still got to pay the foretell, right? You got to pay the foretell
Yeah,
first. So everything costs 2. I don't know. It seems like a lot to set up, but I don't know how it plays. Like, maybe it's good. So you got a bunch of... it's like basically like colorless Eldrazi splashing black. Fountain of Renewal. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain a life. Sacrifice Fountain of Renewal, draw a card. I think there's better cards for you here. Like even more Mind Stones. I'm actually just not a fan of this card.
Yeah. Pumping 3 mana into it is quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Mind Stone costs less to crack for that card. And I don't think the life gain is that important. And there's probably some better cards out there for gaining life. Like, what's the artifact that you tap, you can scry, and eventually it sacks to gain life?
Maze Mind Tome. Maze Mind Tome, it's called.
Yeah, Maze Mind Tome is, I think, better than Fountain Renewal. Unless there's some synergy to this deck, I don't know. Someone's asking me to read the card some more. Yeah, whenever you foretell a card, Dream Devourer gets +2/+0 until end of turn. But why not just play your beefy Eldrazi? I know you get some more stuff out of it. but it's still like a 3 toughness creature. I don't want to say like dies to removal, but it still dies to a lot of stuff. Is Maze Mind Tome slow? I mean, it's slow. Oh, I'll give it this. This deck doesn't have a lot of things to do on turn 1. This deck is playing some stuff on turn 2. So Maze Mind Tome is sucking up that like turn 2 slot.
Yeah.
Oh, but why not just like Dismember or something? And you're on black right now.
For me, the fountain would only be good if you're expecting like a Baron to be quite popular, like, or some sort of, I don't know. I don't really rate the Fountain of Renew, if I'm honest.
I honestly would. I don't know. I guess you need. I want to say Dismember, but then that you take damage. I don't know how much this deck definitely needs the life gain. Maybe this is a lot better than I think because I'm looking at the curve. You have nothing to do on turn 1, and I think you should have something to do on turn 1. And if it's Fountain of Renewal, then it's Fountain of Renewal.
What about Endless One? Because you can normally cast Endless One for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Endless One on. I mean, you can play Endless One on 1.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's if your best. I don't know if that's your best Endless One.
Yeah, I know.
Really want to play.
Yeah.
You want to play the Endless One for 1. You can do that.
Yeah.
So there's a suggestion to put the Urza lands. Are the Urza lands better than these other random lands? Okay, we've got, how many lands do we have? 21. Blast Zone, Bonders, Enclave, draw a card, activate this ability only if you control a creature power 4 or greater. Yeah, I can dig that. That's a good card. Cavern of Souls, yes. Crawling Barrens, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Crawling Barrens. Then you may have it become a 0/0 elemental creature until end of turn it's still a land. Now that's a point where I'd say this could be replaced by some, by potentially some what's it called, like Urzatron lands. Eldrazi Temple, absolutely. Field of the Ruin, not bad, not as good as it used to be because it used to be able to target Mystic Sanctuary in response to Cryptic Command trying to target it.
Yeah,
but still a useful card. It's going to hit those colonnades out there. If near Deadlands, I don't know if any of these are that. Oh, it's hard to put the Tron lands in here and still have the black mana, right? Because this deck's playing a bit of a black splash. Well, here's another thing. How much black mana do we have in this deck?
You got the Dream Devourer, Bearer of Silence, Paleka. You don't really need that much black mana, do you?
Well, if you want to play stuff on turn 2, you actually do. You need like 14, so like 13-ish sources at least. So if you want to play these things on curve, this one could take a longer time because you might want the Edict out of it. Oh, that is a great idea, Jared, with the 2000 IQ play. Put Urborg in here. Yeah, Urborg will turn everything into black mana. But we still need to get some good density of black mana in here. Because even 2 Urborg is not going to come. Like, we need like 13 solid sources of black mana to reasonably cast these cards.
Yeah.
So this is 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sort of. Well, not on turn 2.
Cavern.
Cavern works, yeah. 8, 9, 10. We're still short. How about this? And maybe instead of Fountain Renewal, you play something like Chromatic Star. You can play this on turn 1, and you can crack it for the black that you need to fix your mana. And you, if anything else, it's a cycling card.
Yeah, I can see that working.
Yeah, there's Bella. Same idea. Chromatic Sphere or Star for a CMC1 and black mana. I think this is very reasonable. Because if you're going to play this card early, and you need enough black mana sources. If you don't, this card is just going to... It's effectively like a 4-mana spell, and I don't think that's why you're playing the card in the first place. Like, I think you want to be able to play this on turn 2, turn 3, start foretelling creatures, turn 4, get your game going. Sideboard, Chalice, Relic, Torpor Orb, Warping Whale, Dismember, Plague Engineer. I mean, these are all very reasonable cards.
Do you think Chalice is going to get a reprint in Time Spiral?
Well, we do know they're going to get a reprint because it has the old. It's one of the cards that are getting an old border frame.
Oh, is it definitely getting reprinted? I didn't know.
Chalice, I don't know if it's being part of the other. Like, this is the specialty card.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's going to be part of like the cycle of regular cards, because I think these are rarer than the rest of the cards in the set, if I understand correctly. Maybe I don't. We got old border true name nemesis too. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm not going to say anything about how good these cards are because I've never played with them, and it's really hard to judge the interaction. But at the moment, your mana base doesn't cast this thing on turn 2 at all. So maybe replace either Fountain Renewal or maybe some other cards. You're a little on the top end heavy. Maybe Mystic Reforge can change for some Chromatic Spheres or Chromatic Stars, and that will help you cast your creatures. Hey, Gemmed Yoshi. Okay, so let's quickly look at... so apparently True Name Nemesis just got a reprint. We're going to get Restore Balance, Stuffy Doll, Cloud Seer. I don't know what this card is. It's a Fairy Spell Shaper. Discard a card, create a blue fairy token named Cloud Sprite. It has... Cloud Sprite can only... Oh, interesting. Slivers!
Making a comeback.
Slivers have flanking. Sanu Sliver. Maybe some... There it is!
Oh, nice.
That's the beauty. Obviously not getting play in Modern. I don't know what the odds are of this card ever seeing play in Modern. Yeah, this is going to be a sick foil for anyone who wants the foils.
Yeah. I've got my playset of True Name. Awesome card.
How do you play Gigantha? That's a good question too in this list. We have Gigantha here. There is... Because we need a red or a green. Well, we're going to have it if we play with the Chromatic Sphere or Chromatic Star. That was such a good... Oh, Cavern of Souls, maybe? Cavern of Souls can name something. Nurturing Peatland. There we go. That's a good question. Very hard to cast this Gigantha, even though it's like pseudo-free. Anyway, everyone, that's going to be it for Decklist review. And so we're going to thank Terry for coming over, telling us his wisdom about Control in this metagame and how that's going to change the future of Control, and his thoughts on on what happened to the Control decks. How do you feel? Maybe just going into the to finish this off, how do you feel Control is going to be going into the future?
I think we're going to see a return of like decks that we're seeing quite a lot of play, like Grixis Control, Jeskai Control, Blue-Red Control, Blue-White Control. I think you're going to see a resurgence of those sort of decks. I don't think you're going to see, I may be wrong, but I don't think you're going to see like Band Control be as prevalent as it once was. You might see Niv Mizzet Reborn have quite a popular spell for a bit until people start playing like Blood Sun and Blood Moon and type decks, and then you might see that drop off the face of the planet. But I think for the most part, I think you're going to see Jeskai Control and those sort of decks make a comeback.
Yeah, we're going to see the Control decks that existed before Uro showed up. Because Uro was the first time we ever saw Band Control or Band Control, Simic Control. Like, those decks didn't exist before, and it was all carried by this one card.
Well, just to give you an idea, Blue-White Control used to be about 7% of the MTG top 8 Control meta, and the Control used to have about 25% of the top 8 meta. Yep. And it dropped to less than 1% Blue-White Control. And never in the history of Control in Modern did it ever drop below 1%. So, and now you could already see it starting to creep. I think it's 2 or 3% now. So I think you're going to see maybe that become about 5 or 6% of the meta.
Oh, it's going to skyrocket. I already see a lot of Control decks in the metagame right now, and a lot of people are trying to figure out what is the best Control deck as it is. It's a lot of fun right now trying to build the deck because like people may or may not know what the metagame is right now. It's sort of settling, but it might still change in the next coming weeks.
I think that's the exciting part about it, isn't it? It's just brewing and making new decks, and especially when like I'm with Mana Traders as well. So like when you got access to all these cards, like you wake up one day, you put in a few new cards and take out a few old cards, and it's swapping and changing, and that's what makes it interesting for me. It makes it more engaging and rewarding when you actually make a few changes and it actually works out for the best. So
excellent. So remember, if you want to follow Terry, follow his YouTube channel, MTG Control. Find it in the description below. We're going to thank you again, Terry, for showing up here on Coffee and MTG. Always a pleasure to have you on. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. Remember, if you want your questions answered, want your deck list reviewed, Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. We do this every day, so don't worry. There's always another day. There's always tomorrow, except not exactly tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. But Monday, we'll be back. We'll be back and better than ever before. And yeah, so as usual, keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up the magic.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone. I'll see you next time.